Can anyone see my screen?
Sir.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Yes, sir. We can
Okay,
see your screen.
all right. Okay, so today's topic is React code splitting, boost performance and user experience. Yesterday, I told us we would complete our series of code splitting. Now, from yesterday, after you've gone through the video from yesterday, is there anyone that have question? Is there anyone that have questions from yesterday? Okay, let's continue then. What is code splitting? So code splitting actually um, is a technique in React we use to improve performance by splitting our application code into smaller chunks and then loading them on demand. Code splitting is just like you've been doing it, but you don't know that you've been doing it. So today I'm here to actually um, shed more light on it. So code splitting, as we all know, is a technique in React where you share your larger code base into smaller chunks, into smaller parts, and then request for them only when they are needed. That's what code splitting means. So if you're ever called upon, if you're ever told or you're asked what code splitting is all about, you should be able to tell say such. React is fast because you can actually practice code splitting. For instance, if you have a large project, the project you're about to embark on this new week, code splitting should be one of the things you practice. Just to surprise you, yesterday we created 3 pages: home, about us page, and contact page. Do you know we can have all of that in our app.js without creating files for them? We can have all of that um, files we created inside those components: home, about us, contact. We can have the entire of them, like the entirety of them, joined together on the app.js, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't make your work neat. It's not a good practice, it's a bad practice. So best practices are you share your code base into smaller chunks and then make it neat. That's what code splitting is all about. So let's read our slide. So this presentation explores React code splitting. It enhances performance and user experience. It achieves this by reducing bundle size, faster interactions, and delight users. What is code splitting? Breaking down applications into smaller manageable chunks, improving loading efficiency. On-demand load: code loads only when users need it, drastically improving initial page load time. Monolithic contrast: this contrasts with large monolithic bundles requiring full download upfront. So in summary, what I'm saying or what I've been saying is code splitting is a technique used in ensuring um, you don't have large chunks of code bases together. You share everything accordingly and then keep them in where they are supposed to be. Call them up where only you need them. So what are those benefits of code splitting? We'll come to this. So benefit of code split, I think I not impute that. One of the benefits is faster initial load times. By loading only the necessary code for the initial render, users can interact with your app sooner. Two, improved performance. Reducing the amount of code loaded upfront can lead to better performance and a smoother experience. You shouldn't your code shouldn't be called up when it's not needed. It would cause delay, leading a slow response. So if you're able to split your code, then you can ensure to have smooth user experience. Code splitting is used for large components. If you're having 5 component files, use code splitting in them. Split large components and features that aren't essential. Once anything is not, you don't need to use. I'll show us how to do that. But we've been doing the first step of it, which is creating a component folder, storing our component files. That's like the first step in code splitting. By implementing code splitting, you can significantly improve your React application performance and user experience rather. Now, one thing you should know about is today we'll also talk about some front end, not really front end, but there are general terms, software engineering principles that you need to run with as we wind down to the end of this course. So there are some principles you need to be aware of and it should stick to you. And why I decide to teach it today is because I'm also teaching code splitting. The importance of code splitting is to ensure you have a fast React application, a swift one. React application that is quick. React on its own is quick, but when you make things complicated and complex, your code would make it slow. Your React application would become slow. Does anyone have any question before we move forward? Does anyone have any question from our last class? Do you have any question? Okay, outside of our classes today, do you have any question? Okay, let's go further. We also do um, a practical session to actually know what code splitting is all about. Now we have what we call memoization. I failed to put it up on my slide. Let me check if I did. It's not here. I didn't put it up here. I think I forgot. I will provide that maybe after the class, but let me just teach on it. Now, because I'll use both of them to build for our practical class. Now we have what we call memoization. What is memoization? Memoization is an optimization technique used to speed up applications by catching the result of expensive function calls and reusing them when the same inputs occur again. Let me explain. Memoization. What does memoization talk about, or what is it all about? It is a optimization technique. It's a technique that is used to make your React application work faster, function faster. But how is it being done? Now there are some functions you will write in your React application that is heavy. For instance, function like posting user details to a database. Let me just use that as an example. Users would fill forms on your website, maybe applying for something, an application process where they will need to upload their document and all of that. The function that I will post the data on the DB, that function might be heavy. So functions like that, what memoization does is when you use memoization in these instances, it would save that function. It will catch it. It will catch it. Maybe the user would need to use that function up to like 5 to 10 times. So only when the user does the first time, that's when it will make a real call, like the function will work, like it would work on its own. Now by the second time, it will not need to it won't need to communicate with your React application. Like the browser would not need to communicate with your React application. When you use memoization, what it would now do is save that function call on the browser. So the browser will just recognize that okay, this function is needed and it would just do its work. That causes speed, that causes swiftness. So load time, all the time your web application will be loading will not be needed because it already stores it in the cache. Already stores it in a cache. So cache is an aspect in our browsers that stores little information and what have you. So what memoization do is memoization makes sure that certain things, certain large function, certain large activity. Maybe you tell your web application does one particular heavy thing. Memoization is there to help you to not make it run subsequently. It just saves it on the browser. It pauses it there and saves it on the browser. So whenever the browser needs it, it's just there already and it performs it quickly. That's what memoization does. It's like what example, reality example can I use? Can't really think of any, but just think of it as something that maybe you left your house, but you need, let's say you left your house, you're far from your house, eh? And let's say you need your shoe. And let me use that example. Maybe your shoe, you need your shoe. Maybe you're going for an event and you need like three different shoes for that event, and you can't carry the three shoes all the time. You can't carry the three shoes at the same time to the wedding. So when you're done with the first shoe you wore to the event, you need the second shoe. You now make a call to your house, to your sister, or your brother, or your mom, or your dad, or your wife, or your husband, depending on the case maybe, and say, please, oh, bring the second shoe. But now, instead of your sister or brother coming to the house, sorry, bringing the shoe from the house, they already carried a duplicate of the shoe and kept very close to where the event is. So anytime when you're done with the first set of shoe and you call them, oh, bring the shoe, instead of them to go back to the house and start bringing the shoe, they already have a duplicate of it. They'll just bring it very quickly to you. Ehen. When you're done with the second one and you need the third one, they go again and it's close by. So it saves time, saves name it. Yeah, so that's what memoization speaks to. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So this is what memoization is all about. Now let me digress a little. I want to actually make us feel good about ourselves. When you are coding whatever you'll be coding, something will keep kicking in. It's called imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome will tell you you're not good enough. Please kill it. Imposter syndrome will tell you that you don't have value. You're not intelligent enough. You can't write these things you're writing. You don't know what's happening. You're not intelligent. You're dumb. You don't know anything. You don't know how to write a function. Please drop that idea. Kill it. Kill it before it arrives. Always carry your shoulders high. Even if you don't know anything, don't always say you don't know. Try to be around, play around what is there. If someone asks you, for instance, I expect every one of us in this class to know what a function is. If someone asks you what is a function, maybe you don't know it or you forgot or something, you should be able to contribute at least a bit. Try to make them feel you have an idea. Don't let imposter syndrome kill you. Please, whatever you have learned thus far can be used to do something. Your next your next call of action should be, how can I use this to benefit me? Do you know why you're not just called a front-end developer? You should carry one mentality. Now, outside of making money, you are a problem solver. Please don't erase that from your brain. Replace it with whatever you have in your brain. Now, you, I don't know if we understand, but what we do is problem solving. You solve problems. Your job is not to write code. Oh. Code is like 10% of it. Code is like 10% of it. Your problem is to solve problem. Your duty is to solve problem. So if you expect, ask anybody if you have friends into software engineering field, ask them. Most of the work they are doing, most of the jobs they are doing were things they never knew. They had to research, work, learn on the job, research on the job, and then they were able to solve problems every day. That's why we face bugs every day. Do you know how many times these bugs makes us feel stronger? When you're building, you run into errors, you should be happy. The reason is, the more bugs you solve, the more errors you face, the more it actually makes you. That's what makes you. Now tomorrow, if you face that bug again, or maybe someone meets you and says, "You I have this issue," you already know what to tell the person. That's the beauty about it. That's what makes that's what differentiates the difference between you now and a senior front-end developer that has been into this field for years is what we call debugging. So debugging is the process of solving bugs, like solving errors on applications. At least some persons are aware. Now, there are some debugging you would do that you won't do them again. Once it comes to you again, you already know what to do. But there are some persons you will come to, they will have to, so always backs in the process of solving errors. Don't just jam an error and tell yourself this thing is not for you. That's what many persons do. And that's why many persons, we don't have large number. We started this program with a large amount of number, but we don't have any more. The reason is, some persons have told themselves that this is not for me. Reason is because they had a bottleneck and then they gave up. So please, the reason why I digress is to actually make us feel good about yourself. Try to solve more problems, solve your errors by yourself. Solve your errors by yourself. I will share a website where you can go each time you have a problem. That is like a community of software engineers. It's called stackoverflow.com. When you go to Stack Overflow, whenever you meet any error, just copy your error, paste it on Stack Overflow. You would see someone that already has an answer to your problem, that has gone through that your problem, and then he posted on it on how to solve your problem. When you go on Stack Overflow, use Stack Overflow to solve your problem. Register an account so that you can be part of it. Paste your problems. You see there. There's no error that you go through that someone has not gone through. So always go there and see how other persons solved their problem. I've not referred anybody there. I think I would have done it since. As maybe most persons who already have knowledge of coding should already know what Stack Overflow does. Now, we also have ChatGPT. ChatGPT is there for you. One sweet way for you to debug is copy your errors and paste on ChatGPT. You're about to embark on a project. Know these techniques. It will save you time. paste your errors on ChatGPT and just ask it to debug or give you an answer to this. It will tell you do this, do this, do that. It might hallucinate a little bit because it does not have direct access to your folder and it does not know what you used on the entire file, the code you wrote, but it will give you an idea and you'll be able to solve it. So let us try to take the bull by its horn. Let us try to take responsibilities. Don't just jump into something and jump out. You can do this. So let's continue. Code splitting. So all right. So these are page from yesterday, home.js and all of that. So I'll clear all of this. Let me go inside my app.js. So I would show us how code splitting. So code splitting, the first thing you do, this is one of the things I want to observe in your code when you submit your project. All your pages should be inside a pages folder. This is the first step of code splitting. How many pages are you having? Create three files for them. If you're having three pages, create three files for them inside the pages folder. If you have reusable UI, things that you reuse, create a component folder and store them inside. As many reusable file components you would have, store them inside a component folder. That way alone, that's the one step for me to know that this person observed code splitting. So when you're done with that, you come on. So I want to create a simple, basic web application. So let me begin. This is my app.js, right? So there's what you call suspense. Import. So when you want to start with code splitting and memoization, you import React, suspense and lazy from React. Every day you learn something new. So as usual, make sure you have your routing system. And then our CSS. So open the eyes. That is spelling of splitting. It should be the spelling of splitting. Yeah. So This is how you now import on your app.js. This is how you import the files from the pages. So I'll import the first one. This is how you import your pages, your files from your pages. If you also have a component file, you import them this way. So we go on to now create our function, our app function. So we now have router just as we had it yesterday. Then we'll create. We don't need to create since it's not a large. We can create the nav inside there, although it's not best practices, but just because of we are not doing a major project, but major projects have another file for it. So we'll just do a quick one here. The main thing is the pages. Where's my route coming from? Especially for scanning closing, my route is closed, my router is closed. Route paths. Identify expected where. Suspense further. No. Jerry class name. Calm down to be used. This thing is supposed to be outside of the console.log. Correct. So paste this here and then create a div class name. X X. Please, I'm still with us. I'm just trying to spin off our project for today. Front load. So this is how you now apply your memoization. You apply it, export default, react dot memo. Alright, so let me copy this and paste. What is the next page? Random page. Alright, so as usual, the memoization is already down here also. And yeah, export default react.memo. Let's check our application. Alright, so let me give this space here. Mm, someone's mic is not muted. Correct. So let me give this a background color. Bit, E minus. Why is my navbar not catching my CSS? P minus X black. Oh, oh, okay. All right. So let me test the random page. Welcome to this random page. Load the next page yourself. Welcome page. All right. So good afternoon, everyone. This is the practical aspects to it. Code splitting is just all about sharing. In summary, code splitting is just all about sharing different large chunks of code. This our code is not large. Like, this content is small. Imagine you building a full-fledged web application, you will have more things. So this is like just tip of the iceberg. If you're having, it's just that we cannot be doing that on this class. But on a more proper web applications, you'll have like 1,000 line of code or more. So you need to actually practice code splitting. Split each major chunk of the web applications into smaller chunks and then call them up only when they are needed. That's just what code splitting is all about. First of all, we actually went on to also do some form of memoization, just like I told you. You know, we're able to use it so that it catches and stays on the browser, so that the browser recognizes it in case it is being called up next time. Yeah, so code splitting should be something I should see on your code splitting and memoization is something I should see on your web application, on your project that I would be using. Now, someone might now ask, to me, I saw you using suspense. Where is that suspense? Where is it? Okay, see, suspense fallback. Suspense is just a feature that allows you to handle loading states and asynchronous operations. If you watch well, if I refresh this page, you see the loading showed. The web application is not a big one that will take time. If it's a proper web application that will make a call to the back end to request for a data to display, that will take a bit of some milliseconds. So in that particular case now, you see this loading would be the one to engage the user. So that should be one beautiful thing I should see on your project. I shouldn't click on random and then I'm just there still seeing random. It should at least show me that something is coming up. So suspense is a React component that allows you specify a fallback UI to display while waiting for some asynchronous operation to complete, just as I've told you. For instance, the API project we did, that API project we did, if it's a very large one, if a call is being made to an API to fetch data or to post data, what should the users see while that call is being made? Because it will take some milliseconds. You shouldn't just keep the user there and then they are seeing a screen, the same screen they are seeing. At least show them that something, show them a UI that see something is coming up soon, loading, something like a loading, a spinner, just try to make sure you do that. Or your project you're doing, make sure you have that in place. Make sure you use suspense in whatever thing you'll be doing. That's what I'll be looking at for that. Suspense is a React component. Let me define it again. Suspense is not one difficult thing, it's a feature that allows you to handle loading states in terms of asynchronous operations, and it's still embedded inside code splitting and memoization. It's an optimization technique, so that's why we are using it. It is within the context of what we are teaching today. Um, so you already know how the whole routing thing works. I showed you yesterday. You should install React router DOM, npm install it, and then use it properly. So you can watch the video from yesterday and see how I was able to do my own so that you can use it for your own. you know Before we move over to the next topic for today, which is okay, okay, um it's even in my slide, so you can see it. Suspense, it displays a simple fallback UI during component loading. React.lazy enables dynamic component imports, loading them as needed, you know, and all of that. See the simple syntax. You import the component. That should be the way you import all your component files or pages files on your project you will be starting this new week. Um, I taught all of this yesterday, route-based code splitting, which I taught yesterday, using React Router DOM to facilitate dynamic component import per route and all of that. Okay, before we move over to the next topic for today, let me take in questions. Is there anyone that has a question? Is there any question? Does anyone have any question? Can anyone still hear me? Let me confirm that. Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
We
Okay.
can hear you.
I can still go over this topic. Oh. It's sounding like some persons are confused, lost, abandoned. Is there anyone that wants me to go over the topic again? For the last time before we move on, is there anyone that wants me to go over this topic again? Okay, seems we are all quiet about it. Let's move on then. Front-end development
Sir, can you just
principles.
give a small oh
A
sorry, sir, can
small
you
what?
just give a small summary of it before you move forward again? Just a small summary again.
Okay. All right. You can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So this is it. Today is all about React code splitting. Now, don't mind the big name. The big name is what can we do? How can we make our React application more faster? Now, one thing you should know is if there are two persons going to a particular destination, if maybe they are trekking by road, okay, let's say there are two friends, and these two friends are going to be going to a particular destination that is far. Maybe they are going to a neighboring state, but they'll only go by road, like they'll trek. Now, they'll be expected to carry some load. You're free to carry some luggages or whatever with you to that nearby state. These two friends, one person that just decides to just carry maybe one shirt and one trouser and one shoe, light, to stay light, you know. Then he now gives somebody that has a car his major properties and tell him, please, see, these are my properties, oh, but carry them in your car. When I trek down to that my destination in my state, I'll pick them up from you. But it's still my own, oh, but I'll pick them up from you so that I can feel light. Now, the second person decides that no, I would carry all my luggage. So the person carries two traveling box and a backpack at his back and everything, the load and everything, and he carries them and start checking. There are two things that will happen. The one who just carried one shirt and one trouser will get to that nearby state before the one who will carry load. Now, let's come to our technical environment. When building web applications, our web applications cannot be the same size. What you're building and what I might be building is not the same thing. You cannot compare a portfolio website with a e-commerce store website. It's not the same thing. Portfolio websites will just carry some write-ups, I am this, I am that, picture and all of that. That's the end of the matter. But an e-commerce store will have multiple component files and pages. You don't expect the e-commerce store to be light in size, but there's a way we now do it. We do it through how do we now make the e-commerce store be as fast as the portfolio website because of the size? We will now do what we call code splitting. We will now share. Is there any parts of the pages we can now share? We'll share them just as the way you've been doing. You've been doing code splitting without you knowing. So creating files, putting them in the pages folder, same thing with the reusable UI, putting them in the component folder just like that, and doing your thing. You call them up only when they are needed. We also have memoization. Memoization is a technique used to optimize React applications so that they are fast and efficient. How do you do that? By using, when exporting them, you um, ensure to actually use react.memo when exporting them, and then there are other little things you should also do. Also using suspense, to create a UI that appears whenever a request is made during asynchronous programming. These are little things that should be present in your React application to ensure that it is fast. React is fast on its own, but it needs to be more fast. So we use the process of code splitting, memoization to ensure efficiency in our React application. Do you now have an idea now? Hello, who asked?
Yes, yes. So is it
Thank you.
to some extent similar to I asked, is it a
Thank
little
you.
bit maybe an expansion of maybe the function of
Yes. Yeah,
React props?
exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly. At least you have an idea. So we should be able to make this work. On your project, please make sure it is there. Make sure it is there, please. Please. Um, let's continue then. Today, we'll also be treating a topic called, this topic is software engineering principles, but I choose to personalize it to us. Front-end development principles. It's also needed for everybody. These four things you'll be learning today, I should see it on your application. I'll take my time to see it one by one. Number one, principles that guide writing code. Let me just use that word. Each module should perform only one function well. Single responsibility. Each module should perform only one function well. Now, on your particular page, you cannot go and be writing you cannot be giving two functions, three functions, heavy functions inside one component file or page file. There's no need for that though. Please always try to, okay, if you're going to have some um, handlers, like some function that'll be handling some heavy requests, please create a file for it and then keep it there, and then import it on whichever file you need to import it. Don't go and carry um, heavy function and keep inside one file and make it look slow, make it look somehow. Please, that ensures you that you're obeying the development principle. The second one is dry. Don't repeat yourself. This is the most famous one. I think almost everybody knows it. Eliminate code duplication across your code base. Don't go and be repeating code. There's no need for that. That's why React is here for you. Create a file for it and write that code there, and then use it wherever I call it. Like just call it. You don't need to go and be doing too much. Write once, apply across all your code base. Don't write the code two times. The third one is you aren't going to need it. Avoid building features that are not immediately required. Anything that, for instance, that we are having two projects. I'll post it this night. Two projects you're embarking on for your project week: a blogging app and an e-commerce store app. Please, if there's any feature you don't need, no need to, don't go and form I know how to write code, I know how I tune and all of that. If you don't need it, no need to write the code, just leave it. It's not required, no need. Please, compulsorily, don't use any form of back end. Please, if you use any form of back end, your project is automatically cancelled. You're learning front end development, focus on front end. No form of back end should be used. We'll just be using local storage. The last one is KISS. Keep it simple and stupid. Prioritize simplicity in design and implementation. Newbies, novices, entry level developers are always known for this, always trying to make your code look complex. Oh, I can write difficult syntax. I am this, I am that. Nobody wants to know. The more simple your code is, the more faster it would run, the more response time you would get. So please don't go and write complex syntaxes and complicate your life. It's not needed. Keep everything simple. Prioritize simplicity. Number one, I should be able to just enter your project, your GitHub code, like the code on your GitHub for your project, and then I understand whatever you've written there. I already know that, okay, this particular code is what is responsible for this particular aspect. I already know that on just seeing it. So don't go and write something that is very complex and then you nobody wants to do that. When you're going to work in an organization, you're going to work with some group of persons. Your aim would be to actually write codes that everybody understands. So that when anybody picks up your code base, you know, present or past, they already know, okay, this is how this person, not the one that they'll start calling you, even if it's by midnight. Oh, how did you write this? So what is happening here? This is what happens in many organizations. Always try to keep everything simple. Simplicity is key. Nobody is looking for, even if your design is something that you want to look very, aesthetically pleasing, you shouldn't go and you should try to look for the most simple way to write your code so that it's simple enough. That's one thing I'll be looked out for. Yes. So these first principles should be at your beck and call. You should know them all the time. Keep it simple and stupid. You aren't going to need it. Don't repeat yourself. Single responsibility. Trust me, if you obey and you practice these four principles, you would not take time in being hired. You will not take time in being hired. These four things are what companies look out for because this is what will ensure that you can collaborate with others. You're not writing code on your own. You're going to be working, for instance, if you're employed as a front-end developer, you'll be working with some other front-end developers, maybe 10, maybe 15, maybe 20. Look at Facebook and other big products. Imagine the amount of front-end developers they have. You know, um, is it Sony? Yeah, Sony. I learned about how many developers they have. I think it's close to how many thousands of developers. So imagine working with some like thousands more, and you're going to write complex code. Nobody will give you face. Keep it simple. Keep it stupid. Ensure you have simplicity in whatever you're writing. Does anyone have any question? So while we are at that, let's also our attendance.
So it's a small question.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so, can you just give us a little bit of hello?
Go on. Go on, I can hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, hello? Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, go on now.
Can you hear me, sir? No, I just wanted.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Just maybe to give us maybe some in-depth preview of how our project is going to be, from our own perspective as new persons. I know you've said some things concerning how to follow the front-end development principles, but aside like the outlook of our project, let's just say the
Okay.
barest minimum. What is the barest minimum expectation from us in terms of tackling it?
Okay, so I wanted to list that out. There are some requirements that will be used to judge your project. Yes, I taught one yesterday, the routing part. I've taught another one today. which is this optimization technique. Now, when you want to start your project, the first thing you should do is go and create a user flow, a flow chart. It's called a flow chart. This is more crucial than writing the code. In fact, if you work with how will I put it, but trust me, any senior developer or whoever meets you would respect you that you did your project this way. Take a piece of paper, or if you have a tool on your laptop, draw out a flow chart. This flow chart, what is it going to be? It's going to be the outlook of your web application from beginning to end. Like from when I land on the home page, what next am I doing? What next am I doing? Where am I communicating with? Draw a flow chart. Write out the how it would be. Write out what you would be using. Get the images of whatever you'll be using. That alone, you are done. Writing the code is like 10% of the work, but getting a flow chart would solve 90% of the problem. Do you know why? If you just go on and start writing code and then you want to try to implement something, you now say, I need to do this, so you now see you will not start going back. No. Before you go on to write code, think. Carry piece of paper and write out, okay, this is how I want my web application to build. This is how I want to build. Start researching, okay, what will be needed for you can go on YouTube, pick out some little things, and then wireframe everything. Then now create your React application and start your project. Now, secondly, what would be my advice to you? I have not listed the requirement. I need to list the requirements when I have fully given you the project, which is this night. I'll tell you the requirement for the blogging app, not just requirement, but what you should do to get a blogging app standardized. Same thing with the e-commerce store. So you know what to do. When you create a React application, go on to create your components folder. Go on to create your pages folder. And then ask yourself, how many component files would I be needing? How many pages am I going to be needing? Create them and then start your work. Put your images and whatever thing you need inside the image folder side and start doing your thing. It's not one funny thing. So please, that's just it. When you see the assignment, not the assignment, when you see the project, you would see the requirements, and then you see steps on how to achieve it. So I think that should be enough for you. So guys, attendance is open. You can sign in and mark your attendance. So the person who asked the question, do you understand what I've said thus far?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
No, wow. Does anyone have any question? All right, so we'll call it a day today, and then by 10, 11, you see the project and also steps on